I think as a 16-year-old, it was pretty darn exciting. It was the first time I'd ever been out of the United States. My family had had many international visitors over the years as a host family in Pittsburgh for short-term students visiting from all over the world. Buxtehude is outside of Hamburg, which is of course a large industrial city with a port in northern Germany, and similar in some ways to my home city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Even my host family, similar situation. My host brother was the oldest in his family, 2 younger sisters just as I had, and it felt just like a natural fit when I got there.
Also ich fand das unheimlich schön, dass wir auch mal einen Gastjungen bei uns hatten. Und das war eine ganz tolle Erfahrung, auch mal ein Ausländerkind da zu haben.
Over the years, I have to say, it was a little tricky keeping in touch. There was no Facebook, there was no email. We wrote some letters, but essentially every once in a while just picked up the phone, talked to each other, and then when I joined the Foreign Service, I came back to Germany, to Stuttgart, for my first posting, and we really reconnected for those couple of years, and that kind of held us over the next few years until I found myself in Berlin, and one of my first visitors was Karsten and his wife Angelika, who drove over from their hometown of Gifhorn near Braunschweig to say hello and to formally kind of welcome us to Germany. Karsten and I have been planning this for the last year. We really thought it would be a great experience to go back because this is the 39th year continuously that our 2 high schools have had an exchange program. Last year, I was lucky enough to host my high school's exchange group participants and students from Buxtehude, from the Halle-Paggenschule, here at the embassy in Berlin. And that was a very exciting moment for me to meet these young people who were basically having the same journey of discovery that I was, just 38 years later. And we went to the school. We were able to address about 250 students to talk about the power of exchange programs and the power of our own personal relationship in a way that kind of mirrored the power of the US-German relationship over the past 40 years. That was a very emotional moment as we all came up the pedestrian zone, up the Fußgängerzone. My family, Karsten and his family, Karsten's parents, Karsten's wife's parents, all of us kind of walking up to the Rathaus, and there above the Rathaus was the American flag flying, which the mayor had put out. And I thought back to the 16-year-old me walking into that Rathaus. I just couldn't imagine that this would be so exciting and such an honor to be received by the mayor with the American flag in Buxtehude. I think you learn not only about other cultures and other places, but you learn a lot about yourself. And you learn what you like and what you like to do, but also how you can rely on yourself and what you can get done. So I find it was an incredible experience as a young person, and each time I meet people who've been on these kinds of exchange programs, they seem to take away something similar, that this is a sort of life-changing, life-altering moment, and they realize a lot about themselves, and they realize a lot about the world, and they realize a lot about their own country.
Für uns Eltern ist es auch eine schöne Erfahrung, nicht nur für die Jugend.
Man muss sich so geben, wie man ist und auch nicht gekünstelt sein. Einfach so weiterleben, wie es gewesen ist. Und so haben wir das gemacht.
It's a great question about our relationship because we often talk in terms of relationships and we think government to government, we think of the president to the chancellor. But in fact, relationships are mainly built of people and all different peoples at all different levels. And the US relationship is particularly wide, particularly deep with Germany because we have so many thousands, really millions at this point, of people who've gone back and forth, whether business people, whether students, whether just plain tourists who are enjoying each other, or participants in exchange programs.
Heute gehen Sie ins Internet, da kommen Sie für, ich weiß nicht, 250 € mittlerweile sogar weniger nach New York, also überhaupt gar kein Problem. Das gab es so damals nicht. Und von daher habt ihr alle, wenn ich das mal so ganz offen sagen darf, einen riesigen Vorteil. Nutzt es. Er steht euch offen, ihr müsst es nur nutzen. Es liegt an euch selbst. Das trägt euch keiner zu, ihr müsst es selber tun. Das ist das Einzige.